Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I have had some spooky experiences, but none of them are supernatural. Some made me just lose some faith in humanity. 2 hikers go missing in a canyon in southern Brazil. If you're from here, you probably know which it is. 2 males, adult and teenager, probably got lost off trail and wandered off the park. Be part of the aerial recon, FLIR imaging for days and nothing. Ridge isn't that large, so we just kind of presumed they somehow went rogue or were just breaking contact from their family. They were somewhat related, but not in blood. Fast forward a few months. They were still labeled as missing, but we just kind of assumed they were not dead. Probably ran away. Get a radio call from local police. Say they found a body. Okay, so here is how it played out. They were camping in a secluded and prohibited area, some 30 meters off a cliff. Large free fall, at least 50 meters. For unknown reasons, the younger boy pushed the other from the cliff. This happened in June, winter here, so it took a tad while until he started decomposing and being eaten by the local animals. He was mangled, and probably took quite a while for him to die, as he crawled some 10 meters or so from the inferred fall site. No equipment or anything, just regular winter clothing. I don't know if the local PD were the ones who found the body. This still creeps me out every now and then, as to why it happened. And where is that boy? Now probably a man by now. Story 2, and last one. This is not a very long one, and happened in the late 90s, as I was a rookie. This is the one that probably messed me up the most. Most federal forces in Brazil are required to spend 2 years in either North, Amazon, or Northeastern, Caatinga, regions, to provide aid to the local departments in higher crime areas. Off-duty. Go with a buddy to a local bar to have dinner. Carnival, which happens in the summer, in February, so there are several drunk, drugged, and other kind of lousy people around. A dude who clearly had mental problems starts trying to make small talk to us while we were eating. Still, kind of polite, and didn't seem threatening. Obviously also drugged. Buddy just kind of shakes it off, and I just follow him. Nothing happened that day, but we still went to that bar a few times later, and he was frequently there. I used to greet him, as I didn't want trouble with the locals. We also took utmost care in hiding that we were cops, as there was a local trend in which criminals would kill cops and take their guns. Go to a gas station with a civilian buddy. Same dude sees me, now sober. Starts talking random things, such as the weather in that town, and being polite. I just agree with whatever he says. Suddenly, he asks if I'm interested in buying a kid. What? A kid, he says. Friend says I gave it away the second he said that, from the face I made. He immediately frowned and tried to leave. I pulled my Rossi 38 and told him to raise his hands. He pushed me away when I grabbed him by the wrist. Decked the dude, got my cuffs in the car, arrested him. He had several charges, going from robbery to Christian. I spent some 3 hours or so in the local jail doing paperwork after we took him to the hospital, and when I got out, he was already beaten to a pulp by the inmates. The only charges that stuck were the previous ones, and his assault on me, sadly.
Buddy of mine told me this story tonight while at a bonfire. Don't know if it's bullshit or not, so take it how you will. Be my buddy in the Marines stationed overseas. One night he is on watch up in one of the towers, hears weird noises, chirping, then a squeal and grunting. He is the only one in the tower. The commanding officer is making rounds but is probably on the other side of the camp. This goes on for a little while with long pauses between. 10 minutes later, the CO is climbing up the tower. CO asks if he hears anything weird. Buddy asks what he means. The CO says he heard some weird shit while on the north side of the camp. Buddy says he heard some too, but on the southeast side. The CO stays for a second and they look around. Neither freaking out but more so confused. After a bit, the CO starts to climb down the ladder when they hear a noise super close that sounds like the mix between a piccolo Pete and a deep howl. Buddy about shits his pants because it sounds like it is right at the tree line. The CO almost falls off the ladder. The CO asks what it was. Buddy turns on the searchlight and looks around. Tree line is about 100 yards away from the fence. Scanning the tree line. Cannot see anything. Both start to smell a nasty smell. Buddy says smells like garbage and shit. All of a sudden, noises all around the camp. Sounds like demented hell coyote noises. One at a time, like it is something teleporting around, or each one is taking turns. Buddy is shining the light every which way. CO runs towards the other tower to get him to scan as well. Buddy is searching around and claims at one point sees what looks like a long leg like in the picture for a second before it shoots away super fast. CO rings the emergency bell. Everyone is put on full alert. Noises die down and go back to long pauses. Camp stays up all night. CO comes up to Buddy and asks him what he saw. Buddy does not say anything. CO tells my friend he thought he saw something moving super fast on the north side while he was running to the other tower. Buddy does not tell the CO what he saw. Tries to tell himself he did not see anything and they were just some kind of animals or something. Few nights later wakes up to screaming. Guy on the tower is having a meltdown. Camp ordered by the same CO to go on full alert again. Hear the same noises. After a while it dies down and everyone is sent back to bed. CO grabs Buddy and leads him to the medical tent. Buddy, CO, guy who freaked out, and the guy on the other tower the same night Buddy was on, asks again if Buddy saw anything. Buddy tells him what he saw. Guy in the other tower looks at him and says, "Yeah, that is what I saw." CO looks irritated. Says that they both lied to him and told him they did not see anything. CO asks the freaked out guy to tell them what he saw. Says he saw some lanky thing bolt through the trees, look in his direction, then run at the fence. Guy freaked out but could not get light on in time. CO runs out of the tent, Buddy and gang follow. And gang find a huge hole ripped in the tent. Other tower guy starts to pray out loud. CO wakes up the executive officer and tells him. XO shouts, "What?" Buddy thinks what the fuck, so some animal got inside. XO rings the emergency bell. Everyone gets put in a line. Buddy is confused. After a while of the executive officer checking everyone's tent, the two officers talk. They take a roll call. Find one guy missing. XO starts to scream swears. Has everyone stand shoulder to shoulder facing Woods rifles in hand. 2 officers and 4 other guys go into Woods full gear. Half an hour later, they bring lost guy out all tattered. Tell everyone wolves came into the camp and dragged him off. Guy does not remember anything. CO tells Buddy the next day never to tell anyone about what happened. Buddy goes through the rest of his service with this experience in his head. He got out over a year ago, and this was the first bonfire we had in a while. Don't know if it's bullshit or what, but I still enjoyed the story and it did put some spooks into me.
Not really military or paranormal, but I think some kid now thinks ghosts exist because of me. Be me. Late 2000s. Outdoorsman. My job was some hippie outdoors store at the time, so I had a full beard and long hair. Looked like Robert Redford from Jeremiah Johnson. Deep southern accent because I am a transplant. Into mountain man LARPing. Spent my weekends dressed up in deerskin roaming the mountain ranges around my house. Plenty of nice trails with very little human traffic due to tourist destinations being much easier to access. Carry a Tennessee long rifle and a hidden Model 28 for grizzly bear protection and LARP purposes. Having a normal trip. There is a spot near a creek that I like to fish at and was planning on staying there for the weekend. See a 7 to 10-year-old kid walking alone on the trail. No parents in sight. Yell out a hello there and wave. Kid looks like a deer in headlights. Does not move as I walk up to him. Ask him if he is having a good day and if his parents know he is walking out here alone. Does not answer me. Kid starts crying. Freak out because I think his parents are going to show up and think I am a Minecraft YouTuber. Try to calm the kid down. Eventually succeed by showing him my coyote hat. Gives me his name and tells me he does not know where his parents are. Ask him how long ago he saw them. This morning. It is like 4:30. Fuck. Tell him let us go find them together by retracing his steps. Continue down the trail with him giving a lecture about outdoor safety and talking about other outdoor subjects like trapping and hunting and stuff. Kid calms down, but still looks like he is going to cry any minute. Formulating a plan in my head to not get arrested when I find the kid's parents or a ranger. Start hearing people yelling the kid's name after an hour of walking. It is the rangers and local police department. As we get closer, I decide it is best to cut and run so I don't get in trouble for having firearms in the park, which used to be illegal in some parks. Tell the kid to wait for the police and jog into the undergrowth. Jog for a few miles until I cross a creek and loop back around to my car, change at the parking lot and go home. Hear about the lost kid later at work. A ghost helped him get home. He made it home safe and I never got found out, so I guess all went well at the end of the day.
Hello, K longtime lurker, and I like to share a nope spook I've had last year in good old Greentext. Be me. Just turned 18. Live in northern New Mexico north of Carson if you know the area. Fuck yeah. Now I can legally romp around the woods with my rifle. And since this is K, I will tell you some of the guns I use in this experience. I am the proud owner of a Sako L691 in 7mm Remington Magnum with a Leopold Variex 416x50. Literally salivate over this gun every time I pull it out of the case. I also carry my Ruger Mark II with me, open carry with me, just for plinking and small game when I am on my property. But time for some backstory. I inherited an absolutely massive tract of land from my Finnish grandparents when they immigrated here, 890 acres and surrounded by national forest on 3.5 sides. I have always grown up on this land, and as strange as it sounds, Finnish tradition too. My mother and father were also Finnish, ironically, but they had a really bad falling out, and I lived 99% of my childhood with my grandparents. Having grown up with my grandparents, who in specific my grandfather, who was an abhorrently religious pagan, and I am pretty sure he was one of the few or last holders of true Finnic pagan traditions and beliefs. This being said, consulting him on what happened to me later in the story, I do not think any Finnic beliefs encompass what I experienced. This being said, I would be lying if this has not shaped my worldview and belief system substantially. My childhood memories are filled with many intricate stories of the passages of Tapio. For those of you that do not know, many pagan beliefs are very far and almost alien to those of other Norse and Scandinavian counterparts, and this has a massive shape on the culture and beliefs of the very rare Finnic pagans. This being said, they have some direct counterparts that are strangely similar to those described across the globe by northern inhabitants. To kind of skip ahead and spare you the bullshit about my life story and giving you a crash course on my belief system, I would like to introduce you to the time that I met one of the most unequivocally pivotal and terrifying moments in my life. During this time, as I said, I had just recently turned 18. However, according to the beliefs in my family, I was expected to be basically a functioning adult at the age of 16. And to continue on this, my family was not comfortable at all with the regulations, etc. of state law, federal law, when it came to regarding housing and hunting. For us, it is considered a human right. At the age of 16, I was expected to hunt for my own food, be able to maintain my house on the bottom of a river valley, and provide for myself. This taught me to become a very strong and independent person by the age of 18. I made the money to provide for most of my sundries, off of working as an unlicensed outfitter and guide and trapping for pelts of bobcat and other fur-bearing game. This is where I found myself one very, very cold winter day. I was checking my trap line by myself, and I am carrying my rifle and pistol as the day is absolutely angelic. It is probably 8 degrees Fahrenheit out, and the sun is blocked out by the ponderosas and massive scrub oak. But yet there is a sum of snowflakes that are floating down from the treetops. Seeing this, I want to stop and take in the scene, because I was awestruck. It seemed as if things were in absolute harmony. As I take in the environment, I run across one of my traps that has one very pissed-off bobcat by the back leg. I do not remember how far down the line I was, but I generally run about 30 to 40 conibears. Seeing this, I set down my rifle and get my .22 ready for a shot as I inch closer and bang. All is silent and I skin out my first pelt of the day, as a respect for my kills. I always try to take the skull and put oak leaves in the mouth, as is a common tradition, I am sure. Fast forward 10 to 15 minutes. I'm on my way further down the line. I end up bagging a coyote and a badger. At this time, I'm at the end of my line and the sun is setting in a rainbow of clouds across the sky, but I realize my time and place is not there, and I begin my way back. I am doubling back on my outward bound tracks because it is easier to wade through that in 2-foot snow. And I come across this point in my tracks, and it looks like a shuffle of an animal in my tracks, and a one-way trail that heads out of my tracks. Guys, this was very strange to me, not because something was in my tracks. It was the fact that these tracks seemed as if they materialized out of my tracks. It did not follow my tracks and took a turn. It did not hop off of something in the trees and bolt off one direction. It was just the strangest situation, and it did not put me on 10 out of 10 spooked, but it sure was strange. Again, I am not mentally disabled, and from my upbringing I know of spirits that lead people into the woods to move, kill, drive them insane. And if you are sitting here wondering what these prints look like, I could not really tell, because the snow was too powdery to tell. But I could tell that these prints were sure big. Not the size of a bobcat or badger or whitetail. It was much larger. I could tell this by the step of this animal, and it basically dragged its foot to where it was going to place its next step. and according to this, it had the same stride and spacing of a man, or some type of bipedal creature. This event thoroughly interests me by the time I get back to my house. It is about 9 to 10 p.m., and I hang up my pelts and go inside to grab an RC Cola and turn on some satellite television. I did not hear anything weird or spooky on the way back, just kind of focused on the trail and made my way back. Looking back now, I am happy I kept my dumbass head stuck to the ground on that trail. The rest of my night consisted of me watching some R&R, some homemade smoked trout and Ritz. Then I crashed. I wake up probably at 3 a.m. to a scratch or a crash against the only window in my small cabin. So I get up out of my mattress and take a look out the window that sits about 4 feet to my left, and I look out the window and see nothing but a one-way set of tracks to my window in the snow. Again, a one-way set of tracks. The same tracks that I saw from my walk back. This thoroughly spooks me big time. Now I go to my front door and put my bear bar across it and cover my windows. I spend the rest of my night trying to sleep, but not being able to. The next day, I get up completely, skip out on my food, and quickly prep my animal hides for tanning. After this, I grab my kind of quick gear, which was my rifle and a bag with food and fire starter in it, hop in my surplus Chevy C10. I drive to my pap's house and I tell him what happened. He gives me a very cold look and goes into a back room and gives me a small amulet and says, "Do not hunt for a few days, and I want you to go out there and offer that thing," as he called it, Nuuttipukki, a gift. Which to my knowledge, Nuuttipukki are like demonic counterparts to what regular Joes would call elves. They go to the profitable and demand a gift, or they will torment you and sometimes kill those who are too rude to them by not offering a gift. According to who you reference, these entities can be good or bad depending on your situation. They can mean they come at a time of famine, or in general a shitty time and demand a gift, and later you will receive good fortune hunting by respecting them. Or they can come after a time of bounty and remind those that what has been given can be taken away. After this short lecture, I get in my truck and make the small drive back to my cabin, along which I find many trees have been knocked over my path. This is what I end up offering to the thing. It is a black bear skull with my grandfather's amulet and a tooth with Othala, to symbolize I respect the spirit and its kindness. And I am not talking about any rational amount of trees that could have fallen across the path in the time I was gone. At this point, I am actually shitting myself. I eventually rock crawl over some of these trees to the point where my vehicle cannot take it anymore. I hop out of my C10 and I grab my rifle and pelts. Fuck the bag I need to make it to my cabin. I fucking Olympic sprint to my cabin to find scratches all over the front door and all the way around the house. They were not just straight up and down. It looks like you took a massive wire wheel and scrubbed the side of my house. I'm shitting 2 tons of bricks at this point and scramble to get an offering ready. I take 2 of the best deer back straps I have in my freezer and I throw together the offering my grandfather told me, with the amulet. This consists of a bountiful harvest and an item from you. This part may sound disgusting to you guys, but I took out my Leatherman right then and there and pulled one of my front canine teeth out. And after this, I take a picture to prove I did this to my grandfather, because he wanted to make sure I was not killed in the night. After this, I set the offering out on the ground in front of my door and make my way inside and I try to take my mind off this situation and throw on some television with an ice pack in my mouth. But it is just static. I spend the whole night on my couch clutching my mouth and basically crying as the biggest storm I have ever seen in my life rages outside. I eventually drift off to bed. I wake up the next day to look out in front of my door to a one-way set of tracks and a pine bough on my doorstep. That's the end. I'm sorry there is no cryptid gunfight or some crazy cave fantasy, but this event sure shaped how I live my day-to-day life up here in these cold mountains. Also, I remember last time I posted this, people wanted some pics of the scratches on my house from this thing.
In high school, invite friend out to go shooting. He brings his AK, I bring my AR to back pasture. Pasture is all fenced in, but the fence is right up on the wood line on the side and back. It's almost half light. Cows are all huddled up by a shade tree on the far side of the pasture near the gate. Not weird, but at least they're away from the gunfire and won't spook. Donkey chilling by the gate, drinking from the trough. He's pretty chill, not alarming or anything. We head back to my backstop. I set up. Halfway there, we hear something pacing us in the woods to our left. I'm on the side by the woods, and I'm about 5 feet away from the fence. Sounds like a rhinoceros following us. Limbs are snapping as it's walking. Whenever we would stop, it would stop. Figured it was a squirrel because they can sound loud sometimes somehow. We keep walking, but the hair on my neck is standing up now. All of a sudden, whatever was pacing us started screaming. Sounded like a 10-ton lion roaring at us. The trees about 5 feet into the woods are swaying like it's a hurricane. We're clutching our ears, and we're wearing electronic ear pro. Can't even move or think at the moment. Finally, screaming stops, and whatever it is starts grunting like her, and taking deep breaths. We light the woods up. It screams again, but this time it was like how an autist screams when he's frustrated. It literally reed sounded like a bulldozer plowing through the woods away from us. We're loading another magazine up and waiting. About 5 seconds pass and it's all quiet except for the donkey that was hee-hawing like crazy now. We hear what sounds like 3 of these things screaming off in different directions. We didn't even look at each other, but we both started running at the same time. We made record time. Opened the gate to the front pasture, and the cows and the donkey came running to get into the front pasture with us. We just let them come in. Didn't even close the gate. They ran as far from the woods and as close to the house as they could get and huddled together. Friend and I ran into the house and I loaded up my shotgun with slugs and we waited by the door for about 2 hours until my parents got home. Nothing happened. Friend drove home and we never talked about it. The next day the calf is missing. I'm asked to go look for it since I roam the woods all the time. Lol. Nope. Fuck that shit. Dad asks, why not? Tell him the story. He doesn't say anything at first, and then says he believes me. Few days later, the calf is back in the field. It's not alive. Its head was completely gone, and its body looked like someone had beat it with a wrecking ball. Almost all of its bones were broken, its legs were basically jelly, and it looked like just a mound of malleable flesh. We had no other experience after that. We still don't go into that back pasture much. If we do, it's not alone, and it's with shotguns and/or a semi-auto 308. Never actually saw what it was.
Bit late to the thread, sorry. B in 6 Royal Australian Regiment, over-glorified babysitter squad. Pack marching shoal water to escort some signal dunces and 2 combat engineer lads to their starting positions to make their call for survival and evasion. Late at night we set up camp, 2 bricks with 4 rotations. Weird shifts, but okay. Signal dunces take hours to set up their shit. Sappers just dig pits and are fast asleep. Wake up to the scream of a signals twink. Real nerdy-looking guy. His glasses have fallen off from his little panic attack. Says a wounded man came out of the bush and screeched at him when he was playing with his radar. Didn't care or believe him. The next day, we dropped them off at their SERE, survive, evade, resist, escape starting points. The commanding officer conducting the course there give us yellow ROE cards on our way out. Weird. Make it back to the coast with 0 problems that night. Day later, hear that their survival course was cut short from an incident. Engineer boys joke that a signals twink got assaulted by a homeless man. Signals say they were attacked by monsters. I hate my job.
INA Air Force, security forces, back in the Cold War days. Shortly after Spetsnaz shot it out with an army patrol way up north so everyone is edgy, stationed in Alaska, a cherry from New York City shows up straight out of training. He gets put at the guard shack at one of the gates on swing. This guard shack is more of a wooden hut than anything. Cold War, so because Russians, we have a .38 special revolver and an M16 with 1 full magazine on guard. The cherry is fucking freaked out when he is relieved at 400 hours. Keeps claiming he heard noises all around the shack all night. Does not want to go back the next night. He is scared shitless, chew his ass until he reluctantly goes. About 100 hours we hear an M16 going rock and roll at the guard shack for 1 magazine's worth. Then we hear 6 rapid revolver shots. Base on alert, Russians are coming. Reaction force hauls ass to the gate. Cherry is huddled in the corner, screaming about Satan reaching for him, will not shut up and making no sense. Haul him off to the base clinic and sedate him. In the morning, I noticed raccoon tracks all around the shack. Start asking questions. Find out the airmen got bored and figured out they could feed the raccoons. The noises were the raccoons lurking around wanting food. They held peanuts or pretzels against the wall of the guard shack. The raccoons would reach into cracks between the boards and grab the food from their hands. Cherry is out there at night, looks at the back wall, sees dozens of tiny hands coming through the wall at him. Panics he was never normal again. They chaptered him out Section 8. Memo was sent out to the entire base about not feeding wildlife.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.